The next book is a little outside of my reading preferences because it I don't know, I feels like chick lit. Yeah. And that is Playing with Boys. I got this at a thrift store. I was really intrigued by the cover. This is an urban fiction. The setting is LA. It's published in 2004, so it's about 10 years old. So there might be some contemporary issues to the time that were relevant then and still relevant today, or not. I think this this kind of feels like some of those popular shows, like, I don't know, popular sitcoms that kind of focus on urban settings and girls that can be, I don't know, petty or cliche or something like that, in which case I will just have to remember that I need to have space for all kinds of points of view. And this book is a novel, and it'll be interesting coming off of short stories because the chapters are names of different characters. So it is kind of, I'm expecting to be different points of view throughout these different characters. And I really love that as a narrative choice. So, so in some ways I'm really looking forward to this book, but I understand that at some point I might slow down with it because it is outside of sort of like what I normally read. You know, any romance and or kind of chick lit stuff is a little bit outside of my normal reading preferences. The next book is recently acquired, and it comes with that little caveat about what is going to happen once I read this book. This is a highly anticipated book for me. Of course, I haven't read it, so I don't know how I'll feel about it, but I want to make a commitment from now, from this moment, to make sure to not hold on to it. I don't know why I'm saying that, but I just feel like right now, I'm not holding on to things, and I don't want to carry things around. Or, so I want to say that from the beginning because I already feel so emotionally invested in this book, or the anticipation of this book, that I might want to hold it. It doesn't help that it's signed. It's a signed copy, which makes it feel even more precious, like a belonging that I want to keep. I want to say a little bit about this publishing company, which is the Blue Cactus Press. I looked them up on their website, where I don't normally look into books that much. I was curious about that press because I hadn't heard about it before. And according to their website, the Blue Cactus Press is a grassroots publishing house focusing on highly marginalized groups. So I feel so privileged to be holding a book from a publishing house that that does that. I also want to read the acknowledgement. I think that that's important, as I'm going to be reading this book and talking about it in a public platform. The acknowledgement says, the Blue Cactus Press and our staff work, rest, and reside on traditional territory of the Coast Salish peoples, specifically the land of the Puyallup and the Nisqually tribes. This land was taken under duress via the signing of the Treaty of Medicine Creek in 1854. Since then, it has not been returned to the peoples it belongs to. Here, we acknowledge that we benefit and profit from our existence in the South Puget Sound on the Puyallup and Nisqually land. We respect and honor these peoples and the land. We also understand this acknowledgement does not replace the work of building relationships or trust. It is merely the first step on the path of doing so. We would also like to acknowledge the influence and the participation of the early readers of the Blackfeet Nation, who provided sensitivity reading to our creative team, and the artwork of the Blackfeet artist Ernest Marcow Jr. Sorry if I mispronounced that name deeply. Whose work appears within this book and reinforces literary, artistic, and cultural ties to the Blackfeet land. Here we give thanks and raise our hands. I'm from the state of Montana, and I have a lot of anticipation that there's going to be a lot of emotional investment in this book, as Montana is the setting, and this is a lesbian love story. I am curious to see how that plays out with the tensions that I'm so familiar with. And I want to make a commitment to myself to not project too much of my own experience into this book, and just really let it do for me whatever this author wanted it to do for her readers or their readers when they conceived of and published this book. The final book is a nonfiction, and a little about that. So I've been reading almost exclusively fiction. I found it very hard to get into nonfiction. I still have quite a bit of nonfiction on my shelf from before. So I have an on hold books that I kind of carried around in this book box for a while, that had been gifted to me or that I'd had for years, that I kind of just form my critical thinking. When I saw this book in a little free library near my house, I knew it was nonfiction, or I suspect it was nonfiction, so I kept pulling it out, and then I put it back more than one time, and have decided to go ahead and get it and go ahead and put it in this week's challenge. I think it's a good book for the challenge at hand. It's a five-word title, and I wanted to also share that this book came with some publishing material, marketing material inside, that whomever owned this book left inside when they put it in a little free library. So it is part of a Malala Book Club selection, and I just wanted to read this little piece of marketing for the sake of this video. In this book, you'll meet a variety of real people who run the colorful streets of Lahore, Pakistan: cooks, cleaners, shopkeepers, imams, and school children. But at the heart of this story are dancers struggling to hold on to their culture, and brilliant, resourceful women fighting to overcome a system set against them. I hope you'll enjoy learning more about my home country and its people. Malala Yousafzai. Yeah, I think that this is going to be a really good attempt at nonfiction for me. And while it is nonfiction, I'm to understand. I did look and read a little into this book, meaning read a little of the jacket and read some, like sometimes I just literally pick it up and read like a paragraph in the middle to see if I can jive with the writing style. And it felt almost more like written in a fiction style rather than written in a really academic nonfiction style. So that's it. That is the last selection. I didn't hold myself to account for the 6-word title, so we shall see how these 5 books go, and if I end up choosing that 6-word title or just leaving it at that. In any case, you'll hear about it in the Reading Week in Review, no matter how many of them I finish. Till then,